idea. Because air, that suit, is often about ideas and communication of those ideas. Well, Jesse's about 9 years old.
Oh, God.
Okay. And he comes running into the room one day as I'm sitting trying to relax, which doesn't happen when you have a 9-year-old male child, but that's okay. I am sitting there trying to relax, and then he comes and he says, "Mom!" And I'm ignoring him. He says, "Mom!" "Mom!" "Yes, Jesse." He says, "What's it going to be like when I grow up?" Okay, first of all, that is an ace of air question if I ever heard one. Big idea, total chaos. What's it going to be like when you grow up? I don't know. That's a big question. That is a chaotic question, all right? That's a chaotic question from a 9-year-old boy child's mind that says, "Oh, what's it going to be like when I grow up?" That's a big question. That's how I don't know Jesse. He runs off. 5 minutes later, he comes back, and now it's the two of air because he says, "Mom, Mom, Mom." What, Jesse? I should explain. Jesse, what I really want to know is, when I grow up, are there going to be spaceships that I can fly? Now we have a direct idea. There's no longer chaos out of this. It's still a big idea, but he's pinned it to something directly. There's a direction to this idea now. Are there going to be spaceships that I can fly? That's a 2 of air. At the 3 of air, he immediately runs off because I say, "Well, I'm not sure, maybe," and we have a little discussion. At the 3 of air, he picks up the phone and he calls his Mima, he calls his Nanu, he calls his friends, he starts talking to everybody about it. This is stirring the pot again. Because what he's doing is he's brainstorming. And at the 3 of air, this is going to conflict a lot with some of the decks you're going to see. If you've ever seen the 3 of air in a lot of decks, it's those 3 swords and that heart. But it doesn't always have to be a painful experience. This is brainstorming. This is ideas that are getting tossed around. And here he goes. He goes, "So, Mima, Mima, Mima. Do you think there's going to be spaceships that I can fly when I grow up?" And they start talking about Nanu. He only asks him once because Nanu listens the first time. "Nanu, what do you think the spaceships are going to look like? Hey, and he's asking friends all this information, and he's brainstorming. He's stirring this pot, but it's a pot of ideas this time. Okay. At the 4 of air, Jesse walks in. It's a couple hours later. He's got all these ideas together now. He walks in. He says, "Mom, Mom, Mom." "What, Jesse?" "I need to go to Walgreens." "Why?" "I need graph paper." And so we go to the store, and he gets graph paper, a nice big old book. That's just expensive at Walgreens. I should have gone to Walmart, yeah. And he starts pinning down his ideas. At the 4 of air, he's putting boundaries on these ideas, and he's drawing, and he's graphing out and mapping out the spaceship that he's going to fly when he grows up. And it's 100 feet by 200 feet. And there is a pool for the passengers, and there's a pool for the pilot. He's got his own pool. There's no bathrooms. I think maybe they'll use the pool. I'm not sure. And there's some other things, like what do you do with water in space? I'm not sure about all of this, but I think it's a great idea, and I'm very excited to see that he's getting his ideas on paper. He's really excited about it. He's mapping it out. All right, he's pinning down his ideas. Goes down to a friend's house with his drawings. He comes back about 20 minutes later, goes into his room, slams the door, and the next thing I hear is rip, rip, rip. At the 5 of air, what has happened, remember 5s? Things are breaking down. 5 of air is often one of the darkest cards that you'll get in the Monday side of your deck. And that's because there's fear involved. I'm not good enough. My ideas aren't good enough. I can't communicate well, and therefore we start to have all of this craziness occur. And it's about fear. It's about things breaking down. He's gone down to his friend's house to show him his drawings. And his friend, Zach, takes one look at him and says, "That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, Jesse. That is stupid. 100 feet by 200 feet? How many people do you intend to put in this thing? You've got passengers and a pool. What are you going to do with the water in space? I don't see any kind of gravity generator here to keep the water in one place in the pool. And where are they going to go to the bathroom? What are they going to do? Use the pool? And he just goes off. And Jesse feels bad. He feels miserable. And he comes back and he's decided that the world has told him that his ideas are no good. And there's fear there. And at the 5 of air, he's tearing everything up. At the 6 of air, I knock on his door. Jesse. Jesse? Jesse! What? And I step into the room, and we start to clear the air. At the 6 of air, we're going to get some perspective. And we talk as much as about anything. We talk, and we clear the air. And he sees where he started with this idea, and where things kind of went south. And he starts to see a plan about how maybe he can put some of the ideas back together. The stuff that didn't work, let's leave it behind. But let's not get emotional about it. Let's not get fear-based about it. And let's move on, okay? So at the 7 of air, Jesse walks in and says, Mom, what, Jesse? It's been a long day. He says, I need to go to the library. And we go to the library. And at the library, he starts pulling down every book he can find on spaceflight, on rocket ships, whether it's real or imaginary, doesn't matter. Physics books and comic books all are piled up on this table. And he starts looking through all of them, at the drawings, at the ideas, at the physics, at the metaphysics, at everything. And he starts to get all kinds of information. The 7 of air very often is all these voices coming at you, all these languages, all this stuff that you have to interpret, and it's coming from a million streams. And it's hard to decipher which one's right or which one's right for you. Okay? At the 8 of air, remember this drill? This 8 drill? 8 of air is pretty quick too. Okay? But it also it allows you to start putting things together, but it makes you want to do it all by yourself. It gets in your mind. It's the drill in the mind. And it gets in there and it says, nobody else can help me solve this. And so this drill starts going in his head to where he doesn't want to talk to anybody about this idea. He just wants to work on it on his own. And he's going to pin some more stuff down because it's that 4 + 4 thing. But he doesn't want to show you. He doesn't want to deal with it. Stay away from me. And I'll tell you what, if you get too close, he's going to snap. Because it's like taking that rubber band, that 8-figure rubber band, and keep tying it. And at some point, it's just going to go spring. He's obsessed. 8 of air. At the 9 of air, this idea that he started at the 1, 2, and 3, this idea, this desire to fly a spaceship when he grows up and to figure out what it's going to be like, that is now at every level of his thought process. Because this is an air story. So it's filling up his air process. It's filling up his mind. So when he's awake, he's drawing spaceships. When he's in school, he's got spaceships in the margins. He's not even paying attention to anything. He's drawing everything to do with spaceships. When he is asleep, he's dreaming about it. Sometimes they're great dreams, and sometimes they scare the heck out of him. Everything is about spaceships. And that's the 9 of air. Sometimes you see a screen with all these mental images on it, and it's all filled up. Some of it might be monsters, some of it might be pleasant stuff, but it's all just kind of taken over that screen. It's the mental screen is full. At the 10 of air, I walk in a few days later, and he's sitting down, playing the Xbox, and playing a game that has nothing to do with spaceships, let alone space. Nothing. And I look at him for a moment, as he's running through the tall grass with a bow and an arrow. And I look at him and he says, I just needed a break. So he gave up part of that idea. It doesn't mean that he didn't go on to explore it more at another point. But his mental screen got so full that he needed a break. And he chose to sacrifice that full mental screen in order to do something else with his time and with his mind. Does that make sense?